Jack Thorne found her in the barn at dawn, holding his screaming twins against her chest like they were hers. He should have fired her on the spot she'd crossed the one line he'd drawn. But when those babies went quiet in her arms, something inside him shattered. Because the last time his children had known peace like that, their mother was still alive. And this stranger, this widow he'd hired to scrub floors, had just done the impossible. She'd made them remember what love felt like. Before we begin, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Stay with me until the very end. This story will break you open and put you back together. And comment below with your city so I can see how far this tale has traveled. Now, let's go back to where it all started. The wind tasted like dust and dying grass the morning Clara Mays walked onto Thorne Ranch. Jack saw her from the porch. Small woman. Canvas bag older than God. Walking like every step cost her something. He didn't move to meet her. Just stood there, coffee going cold in his hand. She stopped at the bottom of his steps. Didn't look up. Just caught her breath, one hand pressed to her ribs. "You Clara Mays?" She nodded. Lifted her face. Jack had expected gray hair and surrender. But Clara Mays was maybe 30, thin as a fence post, hands red and raw, eyes the color of winter sky. Empty eyes. "You know what the job is. Clean the barn, feed the horses, keep to myself." Her voice barely carried over the wind. "Not to come near the house unless called." "That's right." Jack set his cup down. "You got a problem with any of that?" "No, sir." Her stillness made his jaw tight, like she'd already disappeared even though she stood right in front of him. "I got 2 babies in that house." He pointed behind him. 6 months old. Twins. Their mother died bringing them into this world, and I'll be damned if I let anyone... I won't go near them. Clara's voice cut clean through his words. "You have my word, Mr. Thorne." He wanted to believe her. God, he needed someone who could just work without asking questions, without looking at him with pity every damn morning. "Barn's that way." He jerked his chin toward the red structure. "You start now." She walked past him without another word. Jack watched her go. Told himself he'd made the right choice. The other applicants had all asked about the twins. Asked if he needed help with them. Asked if maybe there might be more to the position than barn work. Clara Mays hadn't asked a damn thing except where to sleep. He should have known better. The barn smelled like neglect and broken promises. Clara stood in the doorway, breathing through her mouth. Dust hung in the air thick enough to choke on. Stalls caked with old manure. Hay rotting in corners. Leather tack hanging from rusted hooks like dead things. This wasn't just dirty. This was a man who'd stopped caring whether anything lived or died. She set down her bag, rolled up her sleeves, found a shovel, started digging. Her hands split open by noon, back screaming by evening. She didn't stop, couldn't stop, because stopping meant thinking. Thinking meant remembering. Better to bleed. She worked until the light died, until her legs shook, until a kid couldn't have been more than 16 appeared with a plate of food. "Mr. Thorne says you're to eat this." The boy set it on an overturned bucket. "Says you're not to bring the plate back. He'll collect it." "Thank you." The boy hesitated. "You really gonna sleep out here?" "That's the arrangement." "Gets cold at night. Real cold." Clara looked at him. Saw kindness there. Something that reminded her painfully of her younger brother before the war took him. "I'll manage. What's your name?" "Danny. Danny Wells." "Thank you for the food, Danny Wells." He left, glancing back twice. Clara climbed to the loft, found blankets that smelled like horse and thyme, made herself a nest in the corner where the roof didn't leak, ate her cold beans. And when darkness came complete, when the ranch settled into silence, Clara let herself cry. Not for long, never for long, but enough to remember she was still alive, barely. She found the toy the second night, hidden under a pile of old tack, a wooden horse, hand-carved paint worn off from small fingers. Clara picked it up, turned it over, saw initials carved into the bottom, M.T. Mary Thorne. The dead wife had been in this barn. Had maybe hidden here when life in the house got too heavy. Had held this toy for what a child she'd hoped to have. A memory of her own childhood. Clara's fingers closed around it. She shouldn't keep it. Shouldn't touch anything that belonged to the ghost who haunted this place. But when she tried to put it down, her hands wouldn't let go. Because she knew what it meant to carve hope into wood, to hold on to something small when everything else had burned away. That night she dreamed of Anna. Anna at 2 years old, fever burning through her small body. Anna crying "Mama" in a voice that got quieter every hour. Anna's hand going limp in hers. Anna's last breath rattling out like wind through broken shutters. Clara woke up gasping. Moonlight cut through the loft window. The toy horse lay beside her pillow. She picked it up, held it against her chest, and sang the lullaby her grandmother had taught her. The one she'd sung to Anna every night until there was no one left to sing to. Outside, the wind carried her voice across the yard. Inside the house, 2 babies stopped crying, and Jack Thorne stood at the nursery window listening to a stranger sing grief to the Wyoming darkness. 3 nights later, Jack confronted her in the barn. "You were singing." Clara's hands froze on the pitchfork. "I didn't think anyone would hear. I'm sorry. You got someone out here you're singing to." She turned. "No, sir." "Then why?" "Old habit. Back to work." "Won't happen again." "I didn't say stop." The words came out before he could catch them. "The twins. They heard you. Calm them." Her knuckles went white on the pitchfork. "I didn't mean to disturb the children." "You didn't disturb them. You helped them." Jack dragged a hand through his hair. "Look, they don't sleep. Haven't slept more than 2 hours straight since they were born. But last night after they heard you, they went 4 hours. 4 goddamn hours." "It's Miss Mays. And I can't—" "I'm not asking you to raise them. I'm not asking you to come in the house. Just if you're gonna sing anyway, maybe do it when they're fussy. That's all." Clara stood very still. Something moved behind those empty eyes. Something that looked like pain coming back to life. "I can do that." "Good." Jack turned to leave. Stopped. "The barn looks better. You work hard." "Yes, sir." He left her there, surrounded by clean stalls and fresh hay, wondering what the hell he'd just started. It became a routine neither acknowledged. Twins cried at night. Jack opened the window. Clara's voice drifted across the yard. Babies quieted. Jack stood in darkness, listening to a stranger sing his children to sleep. During the day, they barely spoke. But the barn transformed. Became a place that smelled like leather and grain instead of death and regret. The horses grew sleek. Even the barn cats got braver. Danny noticed first. "She's good with animals, sir. Real gentle. That mare that wouldn't let nobody near. She lets Miss Clara brush her now." "That's fine." "Some of the boys think maybe—" "Think what, Danny?" The kid squirmed. "Nothing, sir." "Then tell them to shut up and work." But Jack knew what they were thinking. Same thing he'd been trying not to think. That maybe Clara Mays had been a mother once. That maybe her grief matched his own. He didn't ask. Wouldn't ask. Asking meant caring. Caring meant losing. He'd lost enough for 10 lifetimes. Then came the afternoon that changed everything. Jack was checking fence line when he heard Danny shouting. He ran back to find a crowd around the barn. Clara on the ground, blood running down her arm. The wild stallion they'd caught last week rearing in the corral. "She went in there," one of the hands yelled. "Damn fool woman went right in with that killer horse." Jack shoved through. Dropped beside Clara. "What the hell were you thinking?" She looked up at him. Dirt on her face. Blood soaking through her sleeve. And for the first time since she'd arrived, her eyes weren't empty. They were burning. "He was scared," she said quietly. "Not mean, scared. Someone hurt him bad, and he needed to know not everyone would." "You could have been killed." "Maybe, but I wasn't." She pulled her arm back, pressed her other hand against the wound. He just grazed me. Could have crushed my skull if he wanted, but he didn't. Because he understood. Understood what? Clara looked at the stallion, at the way it stood in the corner, now sides heaving, watching her with something that might have been trust. That sometimes you have to let broken things near you even when you're terrified, because being alone is worse than being hurt. The words hung in the air between them. Jack's throat went tight. Come on, we need to clean that. He helped her up, half carried her to the house, sat her at the kitchen table while he got water and cloth and whiskey. This'll hurt. He poured whiskey on the cut. Clara didn't flinch, just watched his hands work. You're gentle, for a man who pretends not to be. I'm not pretending anything. Yes, you are. Her voice was soft. You pretend you don't hear me sing. Pretend you don't stand at that window every night. Pretend you don't need help with those babies eating you alive. Jack's hands stilled. You don't know what you're talking about. I know what loss looks like, Mr. Thorne. I see it every time I pass a mirror. She met his eyes. Your wife died bringing them into the world. My daughter died in my arms at 2 years old. My husband left because he couldn't look at me anymore without seeing what we lost. The doctor says I can't have more children, so when Anna died, that was it. My only chance. The silence stretched. Jack finished bandaging her arm. I'm sorry. Me too. Clara stood, swayed a little. I should get back to work. No, you should rest. I'm fine. Clara. He caught her hand. Her skin was rough, scarred, warm. Stay, just for a minute. She looked at their hands, at the way his fingers curled around hers, like he was afraid she'd disappear. Then from upstairs came the sound of crying. Both of them froze. Mrs. Donnelly's with them, Jack said, but he didn't let go. The crying got louder, turned to screaming. Jack's jaw clenched. She falls asleep. Every damn afternoon she falls asleep and they go. Clara pulled her hand free. Go to them. He ran upstairs. Found Mrs. Donnelly slumped in the rocking chair, snoring. Both twins purple-faced with rage. Jesus Christ. He grabbed them up, one in each arm, started pacing, rocking. Come on, babies, please. Footsteps on the stairs, light ones. Hesitant. Clara appeared in the doorway. I told you to rest. I heard them. She moved closer. I heard you too. Get out. You're not supposed to be in the house. I know, but I said get out. Clara flinched, but didn't leave. Instead, she held out her hands. Please, let me try. You can't. I was a mother, Mr. Thorne. Her voice cracked. I know I'm not anymore. I know I failed. But please, let me do one thing right. Their eyes met. His full of fear and exhaustion and desperate hope, hers full of old pain and new purpose. Jack handed her Elsie. Clara took the screaming baby, pressed her against her chest, started humming, not the lullaby from the barn, something else, something older. Do you have sugar and warm water? What? Sugar water, on my finger, old remedy for colic. Jack ran to the kitchen, came back with the mixture, watched Clara dip her finger and let Elsie suck. The baby's cries hitched, stopped, started softer. Clara kept humming, kept rocking. Within 5 minutes, Elsie was asleep. Clara looked at Jack, at Emmett still crying in his arms, held out her other arm. Let me take him too. He should have said no, should have sent her back to the barn, should have protected the boundary he'd built. Instead, he placed his son in her arms and watched both his children find peace for the first time since their mother died. Dawn found them still in the nursery, Clara in the rocking chair, both twins asleep against her chest, Jack on the floor beside them, head tipped back against the wall. Mrs. Donnelly had woken up, seen what was happening, and fled downstairs red-faced with shame. Neither Jack nor Clara had moved. Tell me about Anna, Jack said quietly. Clara's eyes closed. She had your daughter's eyes. Gray-blue, like morning sky. She laughed at everything birds dust in sunlight her own toes. When the fever came, I tried everything. Everything. But she just got quieter, like she was already leaving. The last thing she said was, "Mama, sing." So I did. I sang until she stopped breathing, and then I kept singing because I didn't know how to stop. How long ago? 3 years. 3 years and 42 days. Jack knew that kind of counting. That desperate need to mark every day since the world ended. Your husband left 6 months after we buried her. Said he couldn't look at me. Said every time he saw me, he saw what we lost. Tears ran down her face. He was right. Jack stood, crossed to her, carefully lifted Emmett from her arms. Go back to the barn before the hands see you in here. Clara nodded, transferred Elsie to the cradle like she was made of glass. Stood. At the door, she stopped. Mr. Thorne. Yeah. Thank you for letting me try. She disappeared down the stairs. Jack stood alone with his sleeping children and the terrible knowledge that he'd just let someone pass the walls he'd built, and it scared him more than anything had in months. By afternoon, every hand on the ranch knew. The widow had been in the house, had held the boss's babies, had made them sleep like she was their mother. Jack heard them whispering, saw them watching Clara cross the yard, felt the judgment thick as summer heat. But it was worse than whispers. At dinner, one of the older hands, a man named Silas with a face like old leather, spoke up. Boss, we need to talk about the widow. No, we don't. She's got no business with those babies. People are talking, saying she's angling to become the new Mrs. Thorne. Jack's fork stopped halfway to his mouth. People can say what they want. It ain't right, boss. Your wife's barely cold in the ground, and... Jack's chair hit the floor as he stood. My wife has been dead for 6 months. Those babies have cried every single night of their lives. Last night they slept. For the first time since they were born, they slept. So unless you want to get up with them every 2 hours and walk the floor till dawn, you'll shut your goddamn mouth about Clara Mays. Silence. Anyone else got something to say? No one moved. Then eat your supper and get back to work. But the damage was done. That evening, Jack found Clara in the barn packing her bag. What are you doing? She didn't look up. Leaving. I heard what happened at dinner. I won't cause you trouble, Mr. Thorne. You're not causing trouble. They are. It's the same thing. She folded her one spare dress. I knew this would happen. Knew people would talk. I shouldn't have come into the house. Yes, you should have. Those babies needed you. They need their father, not some... Her voice broke. Not some broken woman who can't even keep her own child alive. Jack crossed the barn in 3 strides, grabbed her shoulders, made her look at him. Don't you dare. Don't you dare say that. It's true. It's not. You didn't kill your daughter. Fever did. Just like birthing killed my wife. We don't get to choose what breaks us, Clara. We only get to choose what we do after. Tears spilled over. I don't know what to do. Then let me tell you. He took a breath. I'm offering you a real position, as their nanny. You to move into the house, help Mrs. Donnelly during the day, take over at night, proper pay, proper respect. The men will never... To hell with the men. To hell with all of it. His hands tightened on her shoulders. I can't do this alone. I'm drowning, Clara. Every day I'm drowning a little more. And you... His voice cracked. That night in the nursery you didn't see orphans or a job. You saw babies who needed their mother. And for those few hours you were her. Clara covered her face, shoulders shaking. You don't have to decide now. But know this, whatever you choose, the barn work ends today. You've done enough penance. He left her there crying in the golden light. But that night when the twins cried, their lullaby didn't come from across the yard. It came from the room next door. Clara moved into the house the next morning, carried her canvas bag up the back stairs to a small room beside the nursery. Found it clean, simple, with a real bed and a window that looked over the ranch. Mrs. Donnelly met her at the door, face pinched with embarrassment. "I'm sorry about yesterday. Falling asleep like that. I'm getting too old for this." "You're not too old. You're just tired." Clara set down her bag. "We'll help each other." The old woman's eyes filled. "Thank you, dear." They fell into a rhythm. Mrs. Donnelly handled mornings and early afternoons. Clara took over from lunch till bedtime. Between them, they managed the chaos of two 6-month-olds who were starting to discover the world. Jack watched from a distance, saw how Clara moved through his house like a ghost trying to become solid again, how she sang while she worked, how the twins' eyes followed her everywhere, how she never quite smiled, but sometimes got close. 3 weeks passed. The ranch hands stopped whispering. Danny became Clara's shadow, helping her with chores, making her laugh occasionally. Even the wild stallion let her into his corral now would eat from her hand. Everything was getting better. Then the first sign appeared. Jack found it nailed to the barn door one morning. Rough wood carved letters, "Foster Fraud." He ripped it down, burned it, said nothing. But 2 days later another appeared. Then another. Someone in town was watching. Someone didn't like what was happening at Thorne Ranch. And they were just getting started. The breaking point came on a Sunday. Jack took Clara and the twins into town for supplies. First time she'd been off the ranch since she arrived. People stared, whispered. When Clara carried Emmett into the general store, the room went quiet. Mrs. Henderson, the shopkeeper's wife, pursed her lips. "That's a pretty baby, Mr. Thorne. Shame his real mother ain't here to see him growing." "His real mother is dead, Mrs. Henderson." "Oh, I know. But that's what I mean. Here you are parading around with a replacement not 3 months gone." Clara's face went white. She tried to hand Emmett to Jack. "No." Jack's voice cut like glass. "Clara's not a replacement. She's helping me raise my children because I can't do it alone. And unless you've got experience with twins who don't sleep, I suggest you mind your own business." Mrs. Henderson sniffed. "Well, I never." "Maybe you should." They finished shopping in silence, walked back to the wagon in silence. Clara buckled the twins into their basket hands, shaking. "I'm sorry," Jack said. "Don't be. She's right." "She's not." "She is." Clara climbed into the wagon. "I'm not their mother. I'm just—" She stopped. "I don't know what I am." Jack took the reins, didn't answer, because he didn't know either, and that scared him most of all. That night the twins screamed like they hadn't in weeks. Clara tried everything: singing, sugar water, rocking, walking. Nothing worked. At midnight, Jack found her in the hallway, both babies in her arms, tears streaming down her face. "I don't know what's wrong. I don't know how to help them." "Give them here." She handed over Elsie. Jack took her, started pacing. Clara kept Emmett. They walked the hallway together, back and forth, two broken people trying to calm two terrified babies. "Mrs. Henderson was wrong," Jack said suddenly. Clara looked at him. "You're not a replacement. You're—" He searched for words. "You're something new. Something neither of us expected. And maybe that's okay." "Is it?" "I don't know. But I know I can't do this without you. I know those babies need you. I know—" He stopped walking. "I know I'm glad you're here." Clara's breath caught. The twins finally began to quiet. They stood in the hallway, babies calming between them, and something shifted. Something neither of them was ready to name. But it was there, growing in the darkness like hope, trying to bloom in barren ground. Morning brought a visitor. Jack was in the barn when Danny ran up, face pale. "Boss, there's someone here for Miss Clara." Jack's gut clenched. "Who?" "Says his name is Mays," Says he's her husband. The world tilted. Clara's husband. The one who'd left her. Standing on his porch right now, 3 years too late. Jack walked to the house slowly. Found a man in a worn suit hat and hands looking uncomfortable. You, Thorne? I am. And you need to leave. Not till I see my wife. Ex-wife, you mean? You left her. Had my reasons. But I'm here to make it right. The man's jaw set. Heard she's working here. Heard she's living in your house. Heard rumors about what she's doing for you. Careful how you finish that sentence. I just want to talk to her, that's all. Jack wanted to say no. Wanted to throw this man off his property and never let him near Clara again. But she deserved the choice. Wait here. He found Clara upstairs with the twins. Told her. Watched her face go from confused to terrified to something harder. I'll speak with him. You don't have to. Yes, I do. They walked downstairs together. Clara stepped onto the porch, faced the man who'd once promised to love her forever. Thomas. Clara, you look... He stopped. You look good. What do you want? To apologize. To ask you to come home. Silence. I was wrong to leave. I was grieving and angry, and I blamed you when I shouldn't have. But I'm ready now, ready to try again. Clara's hands clenched. Try what exactly? Being married, being a family. We could... He glanced at Jack. We could leave this place. Start fresh somewhere. I can't have children, Thomas. That hasn't changed. I know, but maybe that's okay now. Maybe we could adopt or... Stop. Clara's voice was quiet but sharp as a knife. You left me when I needed you most. When our daughter was barely cold in the ground. You said looking at me hurt too much. That I reminded you of failure. Yeah, I was wrong. You were honest, and maybe that's the only good thing you did. She took a breath. I spent 3 years believing you were right. That I was broken beyond repair. That I'd never deserve love again. But... She glanced back at the house. At the window where the twins' room was. But I'm learning that broken things can still be useful. Can still give comfort. Can still matter. Clara, please. Go home, Thomas. Find someone who can give you the life you want. But it won't be me. Not anymore. You're choosing this. Choosing to raise another woman's children while the man who owns them. Jack stepped forward. Finish that sentence and I'll break your jaw. Thomas raised his hands. I'm just saying what everyone in town is thinking. Then everyone in town can go to hell. Jack moved beside Clara. She's not property. She's not a convenience. And she's sure as hell not yours anymore. Thomas looked between them. Something like understanding crossed his face. You love her. Jack's jaw worked. He couldn't answer. Thomas shook his head. You don't even know it yet, do you? But you will. He looked at Clara. I hope he treats you better than I did. He walked away, got on his horse, rode off without looking back. Clara stood on the porch watching him disappear. You okay? Jack asked quietly. I don't know. Ask me tomorrow. Clara. Don't. She turned to him, eyes bright with tears. Don't say anything right now, please. So he didn't. But later that night when the twins cried and Clara sang them quiet, Jack stood outside her door and listened. And realized Thomas had been right. He was falling in love with her. And he had no idea what to do about it. The days after Thomas left felt different. Heavier somehow, like the air before lightning strikes. Clara moved through the house quieter than usual. Still sang to the twins. Still worked beside Mrs. Donnelly. But something had shifted inside her, and Jack could see it in the way she hesitated before entering a room. Like she was asking permission to exist in spaces she'd earned the right to occupy. He hated it. You're being careful again. he said one morning, finding her in the kitchen before dawn. Why? Clara kept her hands busy kneading bread. People are watching. After Thomas came, the talk got worse. Mrs. Henderson told half the town that I refused my lawful husband to stay here with you. So let them talk. Easy for you to say. You're the rancher, the man, the one with the dead wife everyone loved. Her hands pressed harder into the dough. I'm just the widow who showed up convenient. Jack moved closer, close enough to smell bread and soap and that lavender scent she wore. You think that's what you are, convenient? I think that's what everyone else thinks. I don't give a damn what everyone else thinks. You should. Clara finally looked at him. Because when people think wrong things long enough, they start doing wrong things. And I won't let harm come to those babies because of me. Nothing's going to happen to them. You can't promise that. She was right. He couldn't. But God help him, he wanted to. The bread dough tore under her hands. Clara stared at it, then at her flour-covered fingers, and something in her face crumpled. I ruined it. I always ruin. Stop. Jack caught her hands, held them still. You didn't ruin anything. It's just bread. We'll make more. I'm not talking about bread. I know. They stood there, his hands covering hers, flour dusting both of them white. Clara's breath came uneven. Jack's heart hammered against his ribs. Mr. Thorne. Jack. Just Jack. Jack. His name in her mouth sounded like a prayer. What are we doing? I don't know. We should stop. Probably. Neither of them moved. Then from upstairs came the sound of Elsie waking. Soft coos that would turn to crying within minutes. Clara pulled her hands free. I should. Yeah. She left the kitchen. Jack stood there staring at his flour-covered palms and wondering when he'd become the kind of man who touched a woman like she might save him. 3 years ago, he'd buried his wife and sworn he'd never love again. Now he was breaking that promise one touch at a time. And the terrifying part was, he didn't want to stop. Danny found him an hour later, looking worried. Boss, we got a problem. Jack set down the harness he'd been mending. What kind of problem? The kind with torches and angry men. His blood went cold. What are you talking about? Town meeting last night. Wasn't supposed to be about you, but Mrs. Henderson made it about you, about Miss Clara, about what's proper and what ain't. Danny's young face looked older suddenly. They're talking about coming out here, about making sure the children are being raised right. Those are my children, in my house, on my land. I know that, boss. But they're saying because Miss Clara ain't married to you ain't blood to them babies. She's got no legal right to care for them. Saying maybe the church should step in. Find a proper Christian family. The world tilted. They can't do that. They can try. Especially if they get the sheriff involved. If they say you're letting an unrelated woman live in your house, sleep under your roof, raise your children. Danny stopped. It don't look good, boss. Jack's hands curled into fists. When? Don't know, but soon. Silas quit this morning. Said he wouldn't work for a man who's disrespecting his dead wife's memory. Silas can go to hell. That's what I told him. But boss, Danny stepped closer. You gotta do something. Because if they come out here and take those babies, there won't be nothing you can do to stop them legal-like. Jack stared at his ranch hand. At this kid who'd become a friend, at the fear in his eyes that matched the fear clawing up Jack's throat. Get the men together. Everyone who's still here. I want to talk to them. Yes, sir. Danny ran off. Jack stood there breathing hard, mind racing. They wanted to take his children. Wanted to rip them away from the only mother figure they'd ever known, because town gossip mattered more than truth. He'd burn the whole damn county down first. By noon, every remaining hand stood in the barn. 10 men total. Some looked nervous, others angry, all of them waiting. Jack faced them. I know what people are saying. I know how it looks. But here's the truth. Clara Mays saved my children's lives. Saved mine too, if I'm being honest. She's not here to replace my wife. She's not here to trap me into marriage. She's here because two babies needed someone who could love them without being asked to. And she does. Every day she does. Silence. Now, if any of you got a problem with that, there's the door. Draw your pay. Leave. No hard feelings. He paused. But if you stay, you're saying you trust me. You're saying you know those babies are loved and safe and exactly where they should be. And when people come asking questions, you tell them that. You tell them the truth. More silence. Then one of the older hands, a man named Pete, who'd worked Thorne Ranch for 15 years, stepped forward. I'll stay boss, and anyone who tries to take those babies will have to go through me first. Another man nodded, then another. Within minutes, all 10 had agreed. Relief flooded through Jack. Thank you, all of you. We ain't doing it for you, Pete said gruffly. We're doing it for those babies, and for Miss Clara, who's the hardest working woman I ever seen and don't deserve the hell people are putting her through. The other men murmured agreement. Jack's throat tightened. Appreciate it. They dispersed. Jack stood alone in the barn, trying to figure out his next move. He found Clara in the twins' room changing Emmett's diaper, while Elsie played with wooden blocks on the floor. We need to talk. She looked up, saw his face, went pale. What happened? He told her. Everything. The town meeting, the threats, the possibility of losing the twins. Clara sank onto the rocking chair. This is my fault. It's not. It is. I should have stayed in the barn. Should have kept my distance. Should have what? Let my children cry themselves sick every night. Should have let me lose my mind trying to do this alone. Jack knelt in front of her. You saved us, Clara, all of us. And I'll be damned if I let small-minded people punish you for that. What can we do? I don't know yet, but... He stopped. An idea was forming, a terrible, perfect, impossible idea. There might be one way. What? He couldn't say it, not yet, because once he said it, everything would change. Let me think on it. That night, Jack lay awake staring at the ceiling. The solution was simple, too simple, and it would solve everything or destroy everything, and he had no idea which. Marry her. Make Clara his wife legally. Give her rights to the children no one could dispute. Make her untouchable to town gossip and church committees and anyone else who wanted to tear apart what they'd built. But marriage meant promises. Meant opening his heart to loss again. Meant admitting he cared about her as more than just his children's caretaker. Meant admitting he'd fallen in love with her somewhere between the lullabies and the flower-covered hands and the way she looked at his babies like they'd hung the moon. He was terrified, but more terrified of losing her. By morning, he'd made his decision. He found Clara in the garden, hanging laundry while the twins napped. She looked tired, beautiful, like something he didn't deserve but wanted anyway. I have a solution, he said without preamble. You're not going to like it. She turned. Tell me. Marry me. The clothespin fell from her fingers. Not for love, Jack added quickly. For protection. If you're my wife, they can't touch you. Can't question your right to raise the twins. Can't say anything except congratulations. Clara stared at him. You want a marriage of convenience? I want you safe. I want the twins safe. If this does that, then yes. And what about you? What do you get? Peace of mind. That's not enough reason to marry someone. It's enough for me. He moved closer. Look, I know this isn't romantic. I know I'm asking you to tie yourself to a man who might never love you the way you deserve. But I'm also promising you'll never have to leave those babies. Never have to wonder if someone's going to rip them away. They'd be legally yours, protected. They'd be ours, Clara whispered. Yes. She turned away, gripped the clothesline. I can't give you more children. I know. I can't replace your wife. I'm not asking you to. Then what are you asking? Jack's hands clenched. This was harder than he'd thought. I'm asking you to be my partner, to help me raise these babies, to stand beside me when people judge and whisper and try to tear us down. I'm asking you to let me protect you the only way I know how. By giving me your name. Yes. Silence stretched between them. A crow called from the barn roof. The wind moved through the cottonwoods like a sigh. Finally, Clara turned. Her eyes were wet, but her voice was steady. I'll marry you, Jack Thorne, but not because I need protection, because those babies need both of us, and I'll do whatever it takes to keep them safe. Even if it means living with a man who sees me as convenient instead of... She stopped. Never mind. Instead of what? She shook her head. It doesn't matter. When do you want to do this? Soon, before they can organize against us. Fine, but I have one condition. Name it. We tell the twins when they're old enough. We tell them the truth about why we married, about their real mother, about everything. No lies. Jack nodded. Agreed. They stood there, two broken people who'd just promised each other a lifetime based on fear and necessity instead of love. It should have felt wrong. But somehow it felt like the only right thing either of them had done in years. The wedding happened 3 days later. No church. No guests except Mrs. Donnelly and the ranch hands. Just Jack and Clara standing under the cottonwood trees while a traveling preacher spoke words that bound them together. Clara wore a simple cream dress Mrs. Donnelly had helped her sew. Jack wore his only suit, the one he'd married Mary in, and tried not to think about the irony. The preacher asked if he took this woman. Jack said yes. Asked if she took this man. Clara's voice shook. I do. Then by the power vested in me, I now pronounce you husband and wife. You may kiss the bride. They looked at each other. Neither moved. The preacher cleared his throat. The kiss seals the covenant. Jack leaned in, brushed his lips against Clara's so briefly it barely counted. She tasted like tears and courage. When he pulled back, her eyes were closed. It's done, he said quietly. She nodded, opened her eyes. Yes, it's done. They walked back to the house as husband and wife. The hands cheered. Mrs. Donnelly cried. The twins, oblivious in their basket, cooed at the sunlight. And Clara became Mrs. Thorne for the second time in her life, to a man who needed her but might never love her. That night, Jack knocked on her door. Come in. She was sitting by the window in her nightgown, brushing her hair. The moonlight made her look like something from a dream. I wanted to make sure you're... He stopped. I wanted to make sure you know the sleeping arrangements. I won't expect. That is, I don't assume just because we're married that you... I understand. Clara set down her brush. This is a practical arrangement, not a romantic one. Right. Yes. So your room stays your room. My room stays mine. Unless... He faltered. Unless someday you wanted... Let's not talk about someday, Jack. Let's just survive today. He nodded, started to leave. Jack. Yeah. Thank you for giving me this. For making me their mother legally, even if I'll never be their mother in truth. You are their mother, Clara. The only one they'll remember. That's more truth than most people get. He closed the door softly, walked to his own room, lay in bed staring at the ceiling and wondering how he'd ended up married to a woman he wanted desperately, but had promised to keep at arm's length. News spread fast. By the end of the week, everyone in town knew Jack Thorne had married the widow. Reactions ranged from shock to approval to outright anger. Mrs. Henderson stopped speaking to them entirely. But others, the younger women, the ones who'd lost husbands or children, or hoped they understood, started defending Clara, started saying maybe love wasn't always neat and tidy. Maybe sometimes it was born from necessity and grew into something real. The threats stopped. The signs disappeared. The church committee disbanded without ever making a formal complaint. Jack had won. But winning felt hollow when he lay in bed alone each night knowing his wife slept 10 feet away behind a closed door. 3 weeks into the marriage, things started to crack. Small things at first. Jack finding excuses to touch Clara's hand. Clara letting her fingers linger when she passed him his coffee. Glances that lasted too long. Silences that felt too heavy. Then came the night Emmett got sick. High fever. Shallow breathing. Nothing Clara tried worked. By midnight, Jack had a horse saddled. "I'm riding for the doctor." "It's a 3-hour ride in the dark." "I don't care. I'm going." Clara caught his arm. "Then I'm coming with you. Someone needs to stay with Elsie." "Mrs. Donnelly can stay. I'm coming." He wanted to argue, but the fear in her eyes matched his own. "Get your coat." They rode through the darkness, Clara behind him on the horse, arms wrapped around his waist. The night was cold and vast and terrifying. "Tell me about Mary," Clara said suddenly. Jack's jaw tightened. "Why?" "Because I sleep in her house, raise her children, wear her name now, and I don't know anything about her except she died giving them life." "What do you want to know?" "Was she kind?" "Very." "Did she sing?" "No. She hummed sometimes, but never sang." "Did you love her?" Jack's throat closed. "Yes." "Do you still?" The question hung in the darkness. "I love the memory of her," Jack said finally. "But I can't love a ghost, can't hold a ghost, can't build a life with a ghost, and I think—" He stopped. "I think Mary would want me to let her go. Would want the twins to have a mother who's here, not there. Would want me to—" "To what?" "To live again, instead of just surviving." Clara's arms tightened around him. "I want that too, for both of us." They rode in silence after that. But something had shifted. Something neither of them could name, but both could feel. The doctor came. Gave Emmett medicine. Said the fever would break by morning. It did. Jack and Clara sat together in the nursery, watching the sunrise, both exhausted, both relieved. "Thank you," Jack said, "for coming with me. Where else would I be? In your room, keeping distance, protecting yourself from caring too much." Clara looked at him. "I stopped doing that the first time I held them. Maybe even before that. Maybe the first night I heard them cry and couldn't stay away." "When did you stop protecting yourself from me?" The question hung between them. "I don't know," Clara whispered. "But I did. And I don't know how to go back." "Then don't." Jack reached for her hand, laced their fingers together. Clara's breath hitched. "This wasn't supposed to happen," she said. "I know. We agreed this was practical, convenient. Nothing more." "I know. So why does it feel like something more?" She nodded. Jack pulled her closer. "Because maybe it is. Maybe it's been something more since the beginning, and we were both too scared to admit it. I'm still scared." "Me too." They sat there as dawn broke, hands linked, watching their children sleep. And for the first time since they'd said vows, the marriage felt like more than paper and promises. It felt like possibility. But that same morning, while Jack was checking the fence line, Clara found the letter. It had been slipped under the door. No name. No signature. Just words scrawled in angry handwriting. "We know what you are. We know what you're doing. You can't hide behind a ring forever. Watch your back, widow. Watch those babies. Because accidents happen. And we'll make sure this one looks real." Clara's hands shook. She showed Jack when he came back. His face went white, then red, then hard as stone. "Who delivered this?" "I don't know. I didn't see anyone." "Danny." Jack's voice carried across the yard. The kid came running. "Boss! Someone came to the house this morning. Find out who. Find out now." Danny took the letter, read it, looked horrified. "I'll ask around." He left. Jack turned to Clara. "Pack a bag. You and the twins are leaving." "What, no? I won't risk you. I won't." "Jack." She grabbed his face, made him look at her. "I'm not running. We're not running. This is our home, our family, and I will not let them win. They threatened you, threatened the babies. Then we protect them, together." Her voice was steel. "I didn't marry you to become someone who runs at the first sign of trouble. I married you to stand beside you. So that's what I'm doing, standing." Jack's hands covered hers. "You're going to get yourself killed. Then I'll die protecting them, but I won't abandon them. Not ever." He pulled her against his chest, held her tight enough to hurt. "God help me, Clara. I can't lose you." "You won't. You don't know that." "Yes, I do." She pulled back, looked him in the eye. "Because I'm not going anywhere. Not without you, not without them. We're family now, real family. And family doesn't run." Jack kissed her then, really kissed her. Not the brush of lips from their wedding, but something desperate and real, and full of all the things he'd been too scared to say. Clara kissed him back, like she'd been waiting for this, like she'd been drowning, and he was air. When they broke apart, both were breathing hard. "I love you," Jack said. "I didn't mean to, wasn't planning to, but I do." Tears spilled down Clara's cheeks. "I love you too. So much it terrifies me." "Then we'll be terrified together." They stood there holding each other while outside someone watched from the trees. Someone angry. Someone who'd written that letter. Someone who wasn't done with them yet. That night Danny came back with news. It was Silas, the hand who quit. "He's been talking in town, stirring up trouble. Says you bewitched the boss, Miss Clara. Says you're using dark arts to keep those babies quiet." "Dark arts?" Clara's voice was incredulous. "I use sugar water and lullabies." "I know, but scared people believe stupid things." Danny looked at Jack. "He's got others riled up, talking about coming out here, about doing something. Let them come." Jack's voice was cold. "We'll be ready." "Boss, they're talking about fire, about burning the barn, scaring you enough to send Miss Clara away." Clara's face went white. "The horses. If they burn the barn?" "They won't." Jack's jaw was set. "Because we're going to stop them before they start." "How?" Danny asked. "We're going to the town meeting tomorrow night. We're going to face them head on. And we're going to tell the truth so clearly they can't twist it anymore. That's dangerous, boss. Staying quiet is more dangerous." Jack looked at Clara. "Unless you don't want to. I can go alone." "No." Her voice was firm. "We go together. I'm done hiding." The next evening they rode into town. Clara in her best dress, Jack in his suit, Mrs. Donnelly staying with the twins under guard from Pete and two other hands. The church was packed. Every face turned as they entered. Mrs. Henderson stood at the front. "Well, look who decided to join us." "We have something to say," Jack announced. "I bet you do. But we've already voted. Clara Mays, Clara Thorne. I suppose is not a fit guardian for those children. We're sending a representative to assess the situation." "No, you're not." Jack moved to the front, Clara beside him. "Because there's nothing to assess. My children are healthy, happy, and loved. More loved than most children in this town, I'd wager." Murmurs rippled through the crowd. "She's bewitched him," someone called out. "No." Clara's voice rang clear. "I haven't bewitched anyone. I've just loved two babies who needed a mother. Is that so wrong?" "You're not their mother," Mrs. Henderson spat. You're a stranger who showed up convenient. You're right. I'm not their mother. Mary Thorne was their mother. She died giving them life, and I'll never replace her. But I can love them. I do love them. And I'll spend every day of my life making sure they know about the woman who gave everything so they could live. Silence. I lost my daughter 3 years ago, Clara continued, voice breaking. I thought I'd never get to be a mother again. Thought that part of me had died with Anna. But then these babies, Elsie and Emmett, they gave me a reason to keep breathing. And yes, I married their father. Yes, we're building a life together. But not because I'm trying to replace anyone. Because we're trying to honor the people we lost by living the way they'd want us to. More silence. Some faces softened. Others remained hard. Then an older woman in the back stood. I lost my husband 5 years ago. Been lonely every day since. But I haven't remarried because people would talk. Would say I didn't love him enough, that I moved on too fast. She looked at Clara. Seeing you choose love again, even when people judged it, gives me hope. So thank you. Another woman stood. Then another. Then a man. She saved that wild horse, someone said. The one that would have been shot. She's got a gift with broken things. My boy Danny says she works harder than any hand on the ranch. Those babies smile now. Didn't used to. But they do now. The tide was turning. Mrs. Henderson's face went red. This is absurd. You're all being fooled. No. The preacher who'd married them stood. I think we're finally seeing clearly. Jack Thorne and Clara Thorne are doing what we all should do, choosing love over fear, choosing family over judgment, and I, for one, stand with them. The church erupted, some in support, some in anger, but the support was louder. Jack squeezed Clara's hand. They'd won. Maybe not everyone, but enough. As they left the church, Clara leaned against Jack. It's not over, is it? No, Silas and whoever's with him won't stop just because we gave a good speech. Then what do? We go home, we protect our family, and we trust that love is stronger than hate. Clara looked up at him. Do you really believe that? I have to, because if I don't, then Mary died for nothing. Anna died for nothing, and I can't live with that. They rode home in the darkness, closer than they'd been on the ride out. Behind them in the town, Silas watched from the shadows. He'd heard the speech, seen the support. It didn't matter. He had his orders. He had his hatred. And tomorrow night, when the moon was dark, he'd finish what he'd started. The Thornes would learn what happened to people who broke the rules. They'd learn through fire and blood and screaming. And by the time it was over, Clara Mays. Clara Thorne would wish she'd never set foot on Thorne Ranch. They reached the ranch near midnight. Pete met them at the gate, rifle in hand. Everything quiet? Jack asked. Too quiet. Ain't natural. Pete's eyes scanned the darkness beyond the fence line. Feels like something's watching. Jack felt it too. That prickle on the back of his neck. That sense of being hunted. Double the watch tonight. No one sleeps except in shifts. Already done, boss. Inside, Mrs. Donnelly met them at the door, finger to her lips. They just went down. Took forever, like they knew something was wrong. Clara moved past her up the stairs. Jack followed. They stood together in the doorway of the nursery, watching Elsie and Emmett sleep in their shared cradle. So small, so vulnerable, so completely dependent on adults to keep them safe. I should sleep in here tonight, Clara whispered. We both should. They dragged in the rocking chair and an extra blanket, took turns keeping watch through the long dark hours. Every sound made them tense. Every creak of the house set Jack's hand on his pistol. But nothing came. Dawn broke cold and clear. The twins woke hungry and fussy. Clara fed them while Jack checked the perimeter with Pete and Danny. Tracks, Danny said, pointing to fresh prints near the barn. Someone was here, just watching. Jack's blood ran cold. How many? 2, maybe 3. They stood here a while, then left heading north. North toward Silas's place. Yes, sir. Jack stared at the tracks, at the proof that someone had stood in his yard watching his house planning God knew what. Get everyone together, now. Within the hour, all 8 remaining hands stood in the barn. Jack faced them, Clara beside him, holding Emmett, while Elsie slept in a basket at their feet. Someone came here last night, watched the house, left tracks heading toward Silas's property. Jack's voice was iron. I won't force any of you to stay. This might get ugly, might get dangerous, so if you want to leave, leave now. No shame in it. No one moved. We're staying, boss, Pete said. All of us. Those babies need protecting, and we aim to do it. The other men murmured agreement. Jack's throat tightened. Thank you, all of you. Now here's what we're going to do. We set up watches and shifts. 2 men on the house at all times. 2 on the barn. Everyone else rests when they can. We keep the horses ready to ride. Keep weapons close. And if anyone sees anything at all, you raise the alarm. Understood? Yes, sir. Good. Danny, you're with me. We're riding to the sheriff. Clara grabbed his arm. Jack, no. What if they come while you're gone? Then Pete and the others will handle it. But we need the law on our side. Need documentation that we've reported threats. Need... He stopped, pulled her close, kissed her forehead. I need you to trust me. I do, but I don't trust them. Neither do I. That's why I'm taking Danny. He looked at the young man. You ready? Yes, sir. They rode hard to town, found the sheriff in his office, feet up on his desk, half asleep. Sheriff Moss, we need to report threats. The sheriff barely looked up. What kind of threats? The kind that involve burning down my barn and harming my family. That got his attention. Moss dropped his feet. You got proof. Jack tossed the letter on his desk. That came yesterday. Last night someone was on my property watching the house. Left tracks heading toward Silas Burton's place. Moss read the letter. His face gave nothing away. Could be anyone wrote this. Could be. But I'm betting it's Silas, and whoever he's got stirred up against my wife. Your wife. Moss's tone suggested he had opinions about that. The widow you married awful quick. My wife, Jack repeated, voice hard. Who has legal rights to help raise my children? Who's done nothing wrong except exist while female? Some folks think she's done plenty wrong. Some folks can go to hell. Are you going to investigate these threats or not? Moss leaned back. Tell you what, Thorne. I'll ride out to Silas's place. Ask some questions. But I can't arrest a man for having opinions. You can arrest him for trespassing, for threatening violence. If I find proof, maybe. But right now, all you got is a letter with no signature and some tracks that could belong to anyone. Moss stood. Go home. Keep your family safe. I'll look into it. When I get around to it. Jack's hands curled into fists. Danny put a hand on his arm. Boss, let's go. They left before Jack did something stupid. Rode back toward the ranch in tense silence. He's not going to help, is he? Danny finally said. No, he's not. So what do we do? Jack stared at the horizon, at his land spreading out in all directions, at everything he'd built and everything he stood to lose. We handle it ourselves. When they got back, Clara was in the kitchen making bread. Her hands worked the dough with fierce concentration. Jack could see the tension in her shoulders, the fear she was trying to knead away. What did the sheriff say? That he'd look into it. But he won't. No, he won't. Clara's hands stilled. So we're alone in this. We've got the hands. We've got each other. That's more than most people get. She looked at him then, really looked. I'm scared, Jack. Me too. If something happens to those babies, nothing's going to happen. I won't let it. You can't promise that. Watch me. He pulled her against him, held her while her shoulders shook. Outside the window, Pete walked past on patrol. Danny checked the barn. The ranch settled into a nervous rhythm, everyone waiting for something to break. It broke 3 nights later. Jack woke to the smell of smoke. He was out of bed and running before his brain caught up. Down the hall, into Clara's room. She was already at the window, face white. "The barn," she whispered. "Jack, the barn's on fire." He looked, saw orange flames licking up the side, heard horses screaming. "Get the twins. Get them outside to the back garden. Don't come out front no matter what you hear." He grabbed his rifle. "Stay with Mrs. Donnelly. Lock the doors behind me." "Jack." "Do it now." He ran downstairs. Pete was already there, rifle in hand. Fire started on the north side. Someone said it deliberate. "The horses. Danny and the others are getting them out. But boss, there's men out there, in the trees. I saw them moving." Jack's blood turned to ice. "How many?" "4, maybe 5. They're using the fire as a distraction." "That's what I'm thinking." Jack moved to the window, saw shadows moving between the house and the barn, saw the flames growing higher, heard his horses screaming in terror. "We need to split up. You and 2 others stay on the house. Rest of us get those horses out and deal with whoever's out there." "Boss, they might be armed." "So are we." Jack ran outside. The heat hit him like a wall. Smoke burned his lungs. He could see Danny leading the wild stallion out, the horse rearing and fighting. "How many left?" Jack shouted. 3, but the back stalls are already burning." Jack ran into the barn, smoke so thick he could barely see, found the first horse, a mare named Belle, and cut her loose. She bolted past him, found the second, an old gelding, and did the same. The third stall was engulfed. The horse inside was screaming, throwing itself against the door. Jack grabbed a bucket of water, threw it on the flames, grabbed another. The heat was unbearable. His shirt started smoking. "Boss, get out!" Danny's voice behind him. "The roof's going. Not without this horse." He threw one more bucket, managed to get the stall door open. The horse burst out, knocking him flat. Jack rolled away as a burning beam crashed down where he'd been standing. Danny hauled him to his feet. They ran for the exit as the barn began to collapse behind them. Outside, Jack sucked in air, counted horses, all accounted for. The wild stallion stood apart from the other sides, heaving but alive. Then he heard Clara scream. He spun, saw figures moving toward the house, saw Pete firing warning shots, saw one of the figures kick in the back door. Jack ran. Pete was right behind him. They burst through the front door to find chaos. A man had Clara by the hair, dragging her toward the door. Mrs. Donnelly was on the floor, bleeding from her temple. And upstairs, the twins were screaming. Jack didn't think, just moved. He hit the man like a freight train. They went down in a tangle. The man was bigger, meaner, fought dirty. Got Jack in a chokehold. Clara grabbed a cast-iron pan, swung it at the man's head. The crack echoed through the house. The man dropped. Jack scrambled up. "The babies! I'll get them!" Clara ran for the stairs. 2 more men burst through the door. Pete shot one in the leg. The man went down screaming. The other raised his rifle. Jack dove at him. The gun went off. The bullet hit the wall 6 inches from Pete's head. They grappled. Jack got his hand on the rifle, twisted it free, brought the stock down on the man's jaw. He dropped like a stone. "That's 3, Pete gasped. "Where's the others?" "Boss," Danny's voice from outside. "We got 2 more trapped in the barn." Jack ran back out. The barn was fully engulfed now, but near the edge 2 figures were trying to escape the flames. One of them was Silas. "Help us!" Silas screamed. "Please!" Jack stared at the man who'd terrorized his family, who'd burned his barn, who'd tried to hurt Clara and the twins. Every instinct said let him burn. But Clara's voice echoed in his head. About broken things deserving kindness. About being better than the hate. "Danny, get water. Pete, help me." They pulled both men out. Silas was burned bad. The other man, someone Jack didn't recognize, was coughing blood. Jack stood over them. "Why?" Silas looked up through pain-hazed eyes. "She don't belong here. She's poison. He coughed. "She killed your wife, in spirit if not in body, and now she's killing your family's good name." "My wife died in childbirth. Clara had nothing to do with it. But she took her place, took advantage of your grief, made you marry her when she's got no right. She has every right." Jack's voice was cold. "She's my wife, the mother of my children, and you will never threaten her again." Silas spat blood. "This ain't over." "Yeah, it is." Jack turned to find Clara standing there holding the twins. Both babies were crying. Clara's face was streaked with soot and tears, but she was standing, still standing. "Is everyone—" Her voice broke. "Is everyone alive?" "Yeah, we're alive." The sheriff arrived an hour later with half the town behind him. Took one look at the burning barn, the injured men, the evidence scattered everywhere. "Well," Moss said slowly, "guess I should have taken those threats more serious." "You think," Jack's voice was acid. "Now, Thorne, there's no need. They burned my barn, attacked my wife, tried to hurt my children, and you did nothing." Moss had the decency to look ashamed. "I'll take them in, file charges. They'll answer for this." "Damn right they will." The crowd that had followed was silent, watching. Jack recognized faces from the town meeting. Mrs. Henderson standing in back, looking pale. Clara stepped forward, still holding the twins, still standing. "Is this what we've become?" Her voice carried across the yard. "Is this what passes for Christian behavior? Burning people's homes because we don't approve of how they love?" No one answered. "I came here broken, lost, ready to die if I'm being honest. But these babies," her voice cracked, "these babies gave me a reason to keep breathing. And yes, I fell in love with their father. Yes, we built something neither of us expected. But it's real, it's good, and it's nobody's business but ours." "She's right." The voice came from the crowd, the older woman who'd spoken up at the meeting. "I'm ashamed of all of us. Ashamed we let fear and gossip drive good people to violence." Others murmured agreement. Mrs. Henderson turned and left without a word. The sheriff loaded Silas and the others into his wagon. "I'll need statements from all of you." "Tomorrow," Jack said. "Tonight we're staying together." Moss nodded and left. The crowd dispersed slowly, some apologetic, some still uncertain. But no one looked quite so sure of their righteousness anymore. Pete and the hands worked through the night, salvaging what they could from the barn, putting out hot spots, making sure nothing else caught fire. Jack sat on the porch steps with Clara beside him. The twins had finally cried themselves to sleep in their mother's arms. "We almost lost everything tonight," Clara whispered. "But we didn't." "Jack, I can't—" She stopped, started again, started. "I can't keep putting you in danger. If I left—" "Don't." He turned to her. "Don't you dare finish that sentence. You're not leaving. We're not letting them win." "But the barn can be rebuilt. Insurance will cover most of it. And we saved the horses. All of them. Even that damn wild stallion that started this whole mess." Clara laughed. It was half sob, but it was a laugh. "I suppose I did bring that on myself. You brought love. You brought healing. You brought my children back from the edge of—" His voice broke. "You saved us, Clara. All of us. And I won't let you blame yourself for other people's hatred." She leaned into him. "I love you, Jack Thorne, even though I never meant to. Even though it scares me to death. I love you too, more than I thought I could love anyone after Mary. And I think—" He paused. "I think she'd be glad. Glad her babies have someone who loves them this much. Glad I'm not drowning anymore." "Do you really think so?" "I know so." They sat there as dawn broke, watched the sun rise over the burned barn and the saved horses and the life they'd fought so hard to protect. Mrs. Donnelly came out with coffee and bandages. "Let me see that burn on your arm, Mr. Thorne." Jack hadn't even noticed the pain till she mentioned it. let her clean and wrap it while Clara held his other hand. "You're both damn fools," Mrs. Donnelly said, but her voice was gentle. "Running into burning buildings, fighting armed men, going to get yourselves killed one of these days." "Maybe," Jack said, "but not today." "Not today," Clara echoed. The twins woke then, hungry and needing changing. Normal baby needs that felt miraculous after the night they'd survived. Clara carried them inside, Jack followed. And as he watched his wife tend to his children in the morning light, he felt something he hadn't felt since Mary died. Hope. Real, solid, unshakable hope that maybe they'd make it through this. That maybe love really was stronger than hate. That maybe broken things could heal if given enough time and care. 3 days later, they held a barn raising. It started with Pete suggesting they needed help. Then Danny riding to neighboring ranches. Then word spreading that the Thornes needed support. By dawn, 50 people showed up. Men with hammers and saws, women with food and supplies. Even the preacher came rolling up his sleeves and joining the work. Jack stood watching in amazement. "I don't understand. After everything..." "People feel guilty," the preacher said. "Guilty they let fear control them. Guilty they didn't stop Silas sooner. This is their way of making amends. I don't need their guilt." "Maybe not, but they need to give it. Let them help, Jack. Let them be part of building something good instead of tearing things down." So Jack let them. Clara worked alongside the women cooking and serving, holding babies when mothers needed their hands free, accepting quiet apologies and offering forgiveness. By sunset, the frame of a new barn stood. By the next day, the walls were up. By the third day, they were putting on the roof. The wild stallion watched from the corral, still wary, still scared, but no longer alone. Like all of them, really. On the fourth day, while Clara was hanging laundry, a woman approached. Middle-aged, nervous. Someone Clara didn't recognize. "Mrs. Thorne?" "Yes. I'm Sarah, Silas's sister." The woman twisted her hands. "I came to apologize. For my brother. For what he did. He's always been..." She stopped. "He's always let his fears make him cruel. I tried to stop him, but I wasn't strong enough." Clara studied her. Saw genuine remorse. Saw a woman trapped by family loyalty and personal conviction. "Your brother nearly killed us." "I know, and I'll never forgive him for it. Never." Sarah's eyes filled. "But I wanted you to know, not everyone in our family thinks like he does. Some of us see what you're doing, see how you love those babies, and we think it's beautiful." Clara's throat tightened. "Thank you. If you need anything, anything at all, please ask. It's the least I can do." She left quickly. Clara stood there holding wet laundry tears running down her face. Jack found her like that. "What's wrong?" she told him. He held her while she cried. Not from pain this time, from relief. From the realization that maybe finally the worst was over. "We're going to be okay," she whispered. "Yeah, we are." That night, the new barn complete, they held a celebration. Music and dancing, and food enough to feed an army. The twins stayed up late, passed from hand to hand, cooed over, and loved by people who'd once wanted them taken away. Jack danced with Clara under the stars, held her close while fiddles played and people laughed. "Thank you," he said. "For what?" "For not leaving, for fighting, for loving my children even when it nearly got you killed." "Our children," Clara corrected. "They're ours now, legally and in every way that matters." "Yes, ours." He kissed her there in front of everyone. Let the whole county see that he loved this woman, that he'd chosen her, that anyone who had a problem with it could leave. No one left. Later, when the party wound down and people headed home, Jack and Clara stood in the doorway of the new barn. It smelled like fresh wood and possibility. "Different from the old one," Clara said. "Better, stronger, built to last. Like us. Yeah, like us. They walked back to the house hand in hand, put the exhausted twins to bed, stood in the nursery doorway, watching them sleep. "Do you think they'll remember any of this?" Clara asked. "The fire? The fear? No, they're too young. They'll only remember the after. Remember being loved, and safe, and whole." "Good. That's how it should be." Jack turned to her. "Come with me." "Where?" "My room. Our room. If you want." Clara's breath caught. "Jack, I'm not asking for anything you're not ready to give, but I'm tired of sleeping alone. Tired of pretending this is just convenience when it's so much more. I just want to hold you. Want to wake up and see you there. Want—" He stopped. "Want you to be my wife in truth, not just on paper." Clara looked at him for a long moment. Then she took his hand. "Yes." They walked down the hall together. Jack opened the door to the room he'd slept in alone for months. Clara stepped inside, looked around at the simple space that would now be theirs. "It's not much," Jack said. "It's perfect." That night they lay together in the darkness. Jack held Clara against his chest, her head over his heart. Outside, the new barn stood strong. The horses slept safe. The ranch hands kept watch. The twins dreamed baby dreams in the next room. And two people who'd been broken beyond repair found themselves whole again in each other's arms. "Jack, yeah. Do you think Mary would really approve of us?" Jack thought about his first wife, about the woman he'd loved and lost, about the promise he'd made to honor her memory. "I think Mary would want her children loved, would want me to find happiness again, would want someone to finish the quilt she started and sing the songs she couldn't. And you're doing all of that." He kissed Clara's hair. "So yeah, I think she'd approve. I think she'd be grateful." "I hope so, because I'm grateful to her too. For giving them life. For loving you first. For—" Clara's voice caught. "For making you the kind of man who could love someone as broken as me. You're not broken anymore. Neither are you." They fell asleep like that. Two hearts beating in rhythm. Two souls that had found each other in the darkest of times and chosen to build something beautiful from the ashes. The threats were gone. The town had made amends. The barn stood new and strong. But the real rebuilding, the kind that mattered, had happened inside. In the spaces where fear had lived, love had grown. Where grief had reigned, hope had taken root. And as the Wyoming wind sang through the cottonwood trees carrying their story across the plains, one truth remained clear. Sometimes the best families aren't born. Sometimes they're built by broken people who refuse to stay broken. Sometimes they're forged in fire and faith. And sometimes, against all odds, they survive. 3 months passed like a dream they were afraid to wake from. The twins grew stronger, louder, more demanding of attention. Elsie started pulling herself up on furniture. Emmett learned to laugh at everything, especially when Danny made funny faces. The ranch prospered. The new barn stood solid against winter winds. And Jack and Clara fell deeper into the kind of love that grows quiet and steady, the kind that doesn't need words, because it lives in every glance, every touch, every shared breath. But peace never lasts forever in places where hate has planted seeds. It started with small things. A fence cut in the night, cattle wandering onto the road, tools going missing from the barn. Nothing big enough to call the sheriff about. Nothing concrete enough to prove malice. But Jack felt it. That creeping sense of wrongness. "Someone's watching us again," he told Pete one morning while checking the north fence line. "You sure, boss, could just be drifters passing through?" Drifters don't come back 3 nights running. Drifters don't stand in the same spot watching the house. Pete's jaw tightened. "You think it's Silas's people thought most of them were locked up?" "Most. Not all. Jack stared at the tree line. Silas had a daughter, Mara, works as a maid for the Hendersons in town. She blamed me for her father getting arrested. You think she'd... I think grief makes people dangerous, and Mara loved her father, fool that he was. Want me to increase the watches again? No. That'll just spook Clara. She's finally sleeping through the night. I won't take that from her over a feeling. But the feeling wouldn't leave. Clara noticed too. Noticed how Jack startled at sudden noises. How he kept his rifle closer than necessary. How he'd check on the twins 3-4 times a night, even when they weren't crying. Something's wrong, she said one evening while they were getting ready for bed. You're scared. I can feel it. Jack pulled off his shirt. The burn scar on his arm had healed to a shiny pink. Just being cautious. Jack, don't lie to me. He sighed, sat on the bed. Someone's been watching the ranch. Probably nothing. Probably Silas's daughter wanting revenge. Clara's voice was steady. I'm not stupid, Jack. I've heard the talk in town. Heard how Mara swore she'd make us pay for destroying her family. Our family didn't destroy anything. Silas did that himself. You think Mara sees it that way? No. I don't suppose she does. Clara moved to him, stood between his knees, ran her fingers through his hair. What do? We stay alert. We keep the twins close. We trust the hands to keep watch. He pulled her closer. And we live our lives. Because if we let fear control us, they win even without doing anything. I hate this. Hate looking over my shoulder. Hate being afraid in my own home. I know. Me too. That night, Clara dreamed of Anna. Of her daughter's last moments. Of fever and fear and helplessness. She woke gasping, reaching instinctively for the space beside her. Jack was already awake. Bad dream. The worst kind. The kind that's memory. He pulled her against him. Let her cry into his chest. Anna's safe now. No more pain. No more fear. But what about Elsie and Emmett? What if I can't protect them either? What if... Stop. You can't think like that. Why not? I failed once. What makes you think I won't fail again? Jack grabbed her shoulders, made her look at him. You didn't fail Anna. Disease failed her. Medicine failed her. God failed her if you want to blame someone. But you loved that little girl with everything you had. Just like you love our twins. And that love doesn't guarantee they'll never hurt Clara. Nothing does. But it guarantees they'll never face that hurt alone. Clara's breathing slowly evened out. How are you so sure? Because I lost Mary. Lost the woman I thought I'd grow old with. And for months I thought that loss would kill me. But then you came, and you showed me that love doesn't run out just because you use it once. It multiplies. It grows. And our children, they're going to know love so deep and so fierce that even if the worst happens, they'll carry that knowledge with them forever. She kissed him then, desperate and grateful and terrified all at once. He kissed her back, trying to pour every promise he couldn't speak into the press of his lips against hers. They made love that night like people do when they sense time running short. Like every touch might be the last. Like holding tight enough could keep the darkness at bay. It couldn't. 2 weeks later, Clara woke to silence. Wrong silence. The kind that made her heart stop before her brain understood why. The twins' room was too quiet. She threw off the covers, ran barefoot across the hall, pushed open the door. The cradle was empty. For one terrible moment, Clara's mind went blank. Just white noise and terror, and the feeling of the world ending. Then she screamed. Jack was there in seconds, saw the empty cradle. His face went white. No, 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 no. Where are they, Jack? Where are they? Clara was tearing through the room, checking under furniture, behind curtains, places babies couldn't possibly be, but she looked anyway because the alternative was impossible. Clara, stop, stop. Jack grabbed her. We need to think. We need to find them. We need to find them. Mrs. Donnelly burst in gray hair, loose face, panicked. What's happened? I heard screaming. The twins are gone, Jack said. His voice was eerily calm, the kind of calm that comes right before violence. Someone took them. Took them? But how? I was sleeping right downstairs. I didn't hear. Check your door. Check if it was locked. Mrs. Donnelly ran, came back white-faced. It's unlocked, but I know I locked it. I always lock it. Someone had a key. Jack was already moving, pulling on boots, grabbing his rifle. Pete, Danny, everyone up now. The house exploded into chaos. Hands running, lanterns lighting, voices shouting. Clara stood in the nursery staring at the empty cradle and felt herself breaking apart. This was her fault. She'd brought danger to this family. She'd made enemies. She'd Clara. Jack's hands on her face, forcing her to focus. I need you here, need you thinking. Did you hear anything? Anything at all? No. I was asleep. I had the dream about Anna, and then I fell back asleep, and... Her voice cracked. I should have stayed awake, should have kept watch, should have... No. This is not your fault. Do you hear me? This is not your fault. But it was. Deep in her bones, she knew it was. Pete ran in. Boss found tracks, 2 sets, leading north. Looks like they cut through the fence by the creek. How long ago? Hour, maybe 2. Hard to tell in the dark. Jack's jaw set. Get horses ready. 5 of them, best riders. We leave in 10 minutes. Jack. Clara grabbed his arm. I'm coming. No, you need to stay here, in case... In case what? In case they bring them back. They're not bringing them back. Jack, this is a kidnapping. And I will not sit here while my babies are out there scared and crying for their mama. He started to argue, saw her face, knew there was no point. Fine, but you do exactly what I say. Exactly. Understood? Yes. They dressed in minutes. Clara pulled on her riding clothes with shaking hands, strapped a knife to her belt because she'd learned to ride with weapons after the barn fire. Met Jack downstairs. Pete, Danny, and 2 other hands men named Carson and Will waited with horses saddled. Mrs. Donnelly, you stay here with the remaining hands. Lock every door. If anyone comes who isn't us, you shoot first and ask questions later. The old woman nodded, tears streaming down her face. Bring them home, Mr. Thorne. Bring them home safe. I will, or I'll die trying. They rode into the darkness, following tracks by lantern light. Clara's heart hammered so hard she thought it might crack her ribs. Every second felt like hours. Every moment of silence from the twins felt like a small death. Please, she prayed to a God she wasn't sure listened anymore. Please let them be okay. Please let them be warm and fed and not too scared. Please. The tracks led north for 3 miles, then veered west into the forest, where the pines grew thick and the moonlight barely penetrated. This is bad ground, Pete muttered. Easy to get lost. Easy to lose a trail. We're not losing them. Jack's voice was iron. Danny, you're the best tracker. Take point. Danny moved ahead. They followed in tense silence, watching the ground, watching the trees, watching for any sign. Then Danny stopped, held up a hand. Voices, he whispered. Ahead, maybe quarter mile. Jack dismounted, motioned for the others to do the same. We go on foot from here. Quiet. Carson, will you circle around from the west? Pete, Danny take the east. Clara and I will approach from the south. Boss, maybe Clara should stay with the horses. No. Clara's voice was flat. Those are my children. I'm going. No one argued. They moved through the trees like ghosts. Clara's heart was in her throat. Every snap of a twig sounded like thunder. Every breath felt too loud. Then she heard it. Crying. A baby's cry. Elsie's cry. Clara's body moved before her brain could stop it. She was running, crashing through undergrowth, all stealth forgotten. "Clara, wait!" Jack's voice behind her. She didn't wait. Couldn't wait. Her baby was crying and nothing else mattered. She burst into a clearing and stopped dead. A small cabin stood in the center. Lamplight spilled from one window, and standing in the doorway holding Emmett against her chest while Elsie wailed from somewhere inside was Mara Burton, Silas's daughter, 25 years old. Pretty once before, grief had carved lines into her face, eyes wild with something between triumph and madness. "I knew you'd come," Mara said. Her voice was strange, too calm, too happy. "Knew you couldn't resist, the precious widow and her stolen babies." "Mara, please," Clara's voice shook. "Please give them back. They're scared, they're hungry. They need to be with a real family, not some woman who murdered her own child and stole someone else's." The words hit like physical blows. "I didn't murder Anna. She got sick. You let her die, just like you'll let these babies die. Because you're cursed, Clara Mays. Everything you touch turns to death." Jack appeared beside Clara, rifle raised. "Put down the baby, Mara. Put him down and step away. Or what, you'll shoot me while I'm holding your son." Mara laughed. "I don't think so. Please." Clara stepped forward, hands out. "Please, Mara. I know you're hurting. I know you blame me for your father. But those babies have done nothing wrong. They're innocent. Let them go. Like you let my father go. Like you let him rot in a cell while you play happy family with the man he was trying to save. Your father tried to kill us. Because you deserved it." Mara's voice rose. "You took everything from him. His reputation, his freedom, his life. And now I'm taking everything from you." She backed into the cabin. Jack moved to follow, but another figure appeared, a man Clara didn't recognize, armed with a shotgun. "Stay back, Thorne, or I put a hole in you big enough to see through." Jack stopped. His eyes found Clara's, full of fear and rage and desperation. From inside the cabin, both twins were screaming now. The sound tore through Clara like knives. "Let me go in," she said. "Just me, no weapons. Let me go in and talk to her." "Clara, no. She won't hurt me, not yet. She wants me to suffer first. Wants me to watch her take my children away." Clara was already unbuckling her knife belt, dropping it in the dirt. "Let me go in, Jack. Please." "If you go in there, I might not be able to get you out. Then you get the babies out. That's all that matters." "You matter." "Not as much as they do." Before Jack could stop her, Clara walked toward the cabin. The man with the shotgun watched her approach, nervous, uncertain. "Just want to talk," Clara said softly. "Just want to see my babies. Make sure they're okay." The man looked at Mara through the window. She nodded. He let Clara pass. Inside the cabin was small and spare, a single room with a fireplace and a rough table. And in the corner, in a basket that wasn't theirs, Elsie and Emmett lay screaming their hearts out. Clara's knees nearly gave out. "Can I hold them?" "Please." Mara stood between Clara and the babies, still holding Emmett awkwardly, like she didn't quite know what to do with him. "Why should I let you?" "Because they're terrified. Because they don't understand what's happening. Because no matter what you think of me, they're innocent. So was my father once, before you poisoned your husband against him. Mara, your father tried to burn down our barn with the horses inside. He organized an attack on our home. He was trying to save those babies from a woman who kills children. I didn't kill my daughter." Clara's voice cracked. "I loved her. I love her still. Every day I love her. Every day I wake up and the first thing I think is that she's gone and I couldn't save her. Do you know what that feels like? To hold your child while they die and know there's nothing you can do. Mara's eyes flickered. Something human breaking through the madness. I imagine it feels like watching your father get dragged away in chains, Mara whispered. Like visiting him in a cell while he wastes away. Like knowing he'll hang for trying to protect his community from someone like you. Someone like me? Clara stepped closer. I'm a widow who lost everything and found a second chance. That's all. I'm not evil. I'm not cursed. I'm just a woman trying to love two babies who needed a mother. You're not their mother. No, Mary Thorne was their mother. And she died bringing them into this world. Died so they could live. You want to honor a parent's sacrifice? Then don't hurt the children they died for. For a moment, Clara thought she'd gotten through. Thought Mara might see reason. Then Emmett started crying harder. Mara jostled him roughly. Shut up. Just shut up. You're holding him wrong. Let me show you, please. I don't need your help. Mara, he's in pain. Look at how he's arching his back. That's gas. He needs to be burped. Let me... I said, I don't need your help. Mara shook Emmett. His head snapped back. Clara moved without thinking. Grabbed Emmett from Mara's arms. The woman was so surprised she let go. Give him back. No. Clara held her son against her chest. Felt his little heart racing. I'm sorry about your father, Mara. I'm sorry you're hurting. But I will not let you hurt my child. Mara's face twisted. She reached for something at her belt. A knife. Then you'll die with him, she lunged. Clara turned, shielding Emmett with her body. Felt the blade slice across her shoulder. Felt hot blood run down her arm. Then the cabin exploded. Jack burst through the door, Pete right behind him. Danny came through the window. The man with the shotgun fired but missed. Will tackled him from behind. Jack hit Mara like a freight train, knocked her away from Clara. The knife went flying. Clara, get out! Get them out! Clara grabbed Elsie from the basket. One baby in each arm, blood soaking her shirt. She ran for the door. The man with the shotgun broke free, raised the weapon, aimed at Jack's back. No! Pete's rifle cracked. The man went down. Clara stumbled outside. Her shoulder burned. Her arms shook. But she kept running, kept moving. Heard shouting behind her. Heard gunfire. Heard Jack's voice roaring something she couldn't make out. She reached the horses, collapsed against one, both babies, screaming, her vision starting to gray at the edges. Hold on, she whispered to them. Just hold on. Mama's got you. Mama's got you. Then Jack was there, taking Elsie, checking Clara's wound. His face white with fear. How bad? Not bad, shallow. I'm fine. You're bleeding. I'm fine. She looked past him. Mara. Pete's got her. Danny's tying up the other one. It's over, Clara. It's over. But it wasn't. Not really. Because even as Jack wrapped her shoulder and kissed both babies and promised they were safe now, Clara could feel something breaking inside her. She'd almost lost them. Almost watched her children die in front of her. Again. And she didn't know if she could survive that fear a second time. The ride back felt endless. Clara held Emmett while Jack carried Elsie. Pete and Danny brought Mara and her accomplice hands-bound walking behind the horses. Dawn was breaking by the time they reached the ranch. Mrs. Donnelly ran out weeping, gathering the twins into her arms. Oh, thank God. Thank God. I thought... They're okay, Jack said. His voice was hollow, exhausted. They're okay. The sheriff came within the hour, took statements, took Mara and the other man away, promised they'd be charged with kidnapping, with attempted murder, with everything he could make stick. Clara sat through it all in numb silence. Let the doctor bandage her shoulder. Let Jack hold her hand. Let Mrs. Donnelly fuss over her. But inside she was somewhere else, back in a different time, holding Anna, watching her die, helpless then, helpless now. Clara, Jack's voice pulled her back. The doctor wants you to rest. I need to check on the twins. Mrs. Donnelly's with them. They're asleep. You need rest too. I need to see them. She stood, swayed. Jack caught her. Easy. You lost blood. You need to... I need to see my children, Jack. Please. He helped her upstairs, into the nursery, where Elsie and Emmett slept in their cradle safe and whole, and oblivious to how close they'd come to being lost forever. Clara sank into the rocking chair. Watched them breathe. Counted each rise and fall of their little chests. They're okay, Jack said softly. They're home. They're safe. This time. What? They're safe, this time. But what about next time? What about the next person who decides I don't deserve them? Who decides to take them from me? There won't be a next time. You can't know that. Clara's voice broke. You can't promise that, Jack. Just like I couldn't promise Anna would live. Just like my mother couldn't promise my brother would come home from the war. Just like your Mary couldn't promise she'd survive childbirth. We can't promise anything except that we'll love them. And sometimes love isn't enough. Clara. I'm so tired, Jack. So tired of being afraid. So tired of waiting for the next terrible thing. She looked at him. I don't know if I can do this anymore. His face went white. Do what? Live with this fear. This constant terror that I'll lose them like I lost Anna. That I'll fail them the way I failed her. You didn't fail Anna. Yes, I did. And if Mara had killed them tonight, I would have failed Elsie and Emmett too. Because I'm the reason they were in danger. I'm the reason Mara came after us. I'm the reason... Jack grabbed her face, forced her to look at him. Stop. You are not the reason. Hate is the reason. Fear is the reason. People who can't let go of rage are the reason. But you're the reason these babies know love, know comfort, know what it means to be wanted. But is that enough? Is love enough when the world keeps trying to take them away? It has to be, because it's all we've got. Clara closed her eyes. Felt tears slip down her cheeks. I'm so scared, Jack. All the time. I'm so scared. Me too. He pulled her against him, held her while she shook. Me too, Clara. Every damn day. But we can't let that fear win. Can't let it make us stop living, stop loving. Because then they really do win. Mara and Silas, and everyone like them. They win. How do we stop being afraid? We don't. We just love them anyway. We love them so hard and so fierce that even our fear can't touch it. Clara held on to him. Held on to this man who'd become her anchor, her partner, her reason for fighting. Okay, she whispered. Okay. They sat together in the nursery while the twins slept. Watched the sun rise through the window. Listened to the ranch come to life around them. And slowly, so slowly, Clara felt herself start to believe they might actually survive this. That love might actually be enough. That broken people who refused to stay broken could build something strong enough to weather any storm. Even this one. The days after the kidnapping moved like honey through winter. Slow. Heavy. Sweet and bitter all at once. Clara didn't leave the twins' side for 3 straight days. Slept in the rocking chair. Ate meals Mrs. Donnelly brought up. Refused to let anyone else hold them except Jack. You need rest, he told her on the 4th morning. Real rest, in a real bed. I'm fine here. Clara, you're exhausted. Your shoulder's still healing. You can't... I can't leave them. Her voice cracked. Every time I close my eyes, I see that cabin. See Mara holding them. See that knife coming at me. And I know if I leave this room, something terrible will happen. Jack knelt beside the rocking chair, took her hand. Nothing terrible is going to happen. Mara's in jail. Her accomplice is in jail. The sheriff has guards posted on the property. We're safe. We were supposed to be safe before. We had locks. We had watches. And they still got in. I know. But... No buts, Jack. They got in. They took our babies. And if we hadn't found them in time—" She couldn't finish, couldn't say the words that haunted her every waking moment. Jack stood, lifted Emmett from the cradle, sat in the chair opposite Clara, who held Elsie. "Then we sit here together, both of us. We take shifts sleeping. We keep them close, for as long as you need. You have a ranch to run. Pete can run it. Danny can run it. Hell, the horses can run themselves for all I care. Right now my family needs me here, so here is where I'll be." Clara's eyes filled. "I don't deserve you." "Yes, you do. You deserve every good thing, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure you believe that." They sat together as the sun moved across the floor, as the twins woke and fed and played and napped, as the world outside continued turning while theirs stood still. On the 5th day, Mrs. Donnelly came upstairs with news. "There's a letter from the judge about Mara's trial." Jack took it, read it. His jaw tightened. "They want Clara to testify." "When?" Clara's voice was barely a whisper. "2 weeks. In town." He looked at her. "You don't have to go. I can testify. Pete can testify. Danny saw everything. But I'm the one she attacked. The one she—" Clara stopped. Started again. "If I don't testify, she might get a lighter sentence. Might get out sooner. Might come back." "She's not coming back. Not ever. I'll make sure of it." "How by standing guard for the rest of our lives?" Clara shook her head. "No. I need to do this. Need to face her. Need to tell the truth about what happened so everyone knows she's dangerous." "Clara." "I'm going, Jack. I'm terrified. But I'm going." The next 2 weeks were spent preparing. The sheriff came by twice to go over Clara's testimony, told her what questions the prosecutor would ask, what the defense might say. "They'll try to make you look unstable," the sheriff warned. "We'll bring up your daughter's death, your quick marriage to Jack. We'll suggest you're not fit to raise children." Clara's hands clenched. "Let them try. Just stay calm, answer honestly, don't let them rattle you." "I won't." But at night, when Jack held her in their bed, she trembled. "What if I freeze? What if I can't speak? What if—" "Then you look at me. I'll be right there. And if you need to stop, we stop. But Clara, you're the strongest person I know. You survived losing Anna. You survived Thomas leaving. You survived the barn fire and the kidnapping. You can survive this too." "Can I?" "Yes. Because you're not alone anymore. You've got me. You've got the twins. You've got a whole ranch full of people who love you. And we're all going to be there. Every single one of us." The morning of the trial, Clara dressed in her best dress. The blue one with the white collar that made her look respectable, proper, like someone who deserved to keep her children. Jack wore his suit. The twins wore matching outfits Mrs. Donnelly had sewn. They looked like a real family, a legitimate family. And Clara prayed that would be enough. The courthouse was packed. Every seat taken, people standing in the back. Mrs. Henderson was there, face pinched. But so was Sarah Silas's sister, who gave Clara a small, encouraging nod. The preacher sat in front. Danny and Pete and the other ranch hands filled an entire row, and in the defendant's chair, hands bound face hollow with rage and grief, sat Mara Burton. Their eyes met. Mara's were full of hate so pure it was almost beautiful in its intensity. Clara felt herself start to shake. Then Jack's hand found hers, squeezed. "I'm here." She squeezed back. "I'm here too." The trial began. The prosecutor laid out the case. Kidnapping, assault with a deadly weapon, conspiracy. The evidence was damning. Tracks, witnesses. Clara's testimony would be the final nail. When they called her name, Clara stood, walked to the witness stand on legs that barely held her, put her hand on the Bible, swore to tell the truth. The prosecutor was gentle, asked simple questions. "When did you realize the twins were missing? What did you do? What happened in the cabin?" Clara answered each one, kept her voice steady, kept her eyes on Jack. Then the defense attorney stood, a thin man with cold eyes. Mrs. Thorne, or should I say Mrs. Mays? It's hard to keep track of your names. Objection, the prosecutor said. Sustained. Get to your point, counselor. The defense attorney smiled. Mrs. Thorne, you lost a child 3 years ago. Isn't that correct? Clara's chest tightened. Yes. How did she die? Fever. And you couldn't save her. No one could save her. But you were her mother. Weren't you responsible for her care? Objection, relevance. I'm establishing a pattern of negligence, Your Honor. The judge frowned. I'll allow it, but tread carefully. The defense attorney turned back to Clara. You blame yourself for your daughter's death, don't you? Clara's hands clenched. Every day. And when Mr. Thorne's twins were taken, you blamed yourself for that too. She stopped. Yes. Because you have a history of failing to protect children in your care. That's not... Your first child died. Your second and third children were kidnapped from under your nose. Seems like a pattern to me. Clara's vision blurred. Her breath came short. She was drowning, failing, proving everyone right. Then she heard it. Emmett's laugh from somewhere in the courtroom. That pure, innocent sound that had become her lifeline. She looked at Jack, at the twins in Mrs. Donnelly's arms, at the family she'd built from ashes and grief and desperate hope. You're right, Clara said. Her voice was stronger now. I do blame myself. For Anna, for the kidnapping, for every moment of pain my children have ever felt. Because that's what mothers do. We carry that weight. We shoulder that blame. We wake up every morning terrified we won't be enough. She leaned forward. But here's what you don't understand. That fear doesn't make me weak. It makes me fierce. It makes me fight harder, love deeper, hold tighter. My daughter died and I couldn't stop it. But I loved her every second of her short life. And those twins, Elsie and Emmett, they were taken from me by your client. By a woman so consumed by her own grief that she tried to destroy mine. But I got them back. I fought for them. I bled for them. And I will spend every day of my life protecting them from people like Mara Burton, who think love is something they can steal or destroy. The courtroom was silent. Your client didn't kidnap my children because I'm a bad mother. She kidnapped them because I'm a good one. Because they're happy and loved and thriving. And she couldn't stand seeing someone else find joy when she'd lost hers. So don't you dare stand there and suggest I'm negligent. I'm devoted. I'm present. I'm everything those babies need. And no amount of your questions will change that. The defense attorney stepped back. No further questions. Clara stepped down. Her legs shook. Her hands trembled. But she walked back to Jack with her head high. You were magnificent, he whispered. I was terrified. Same thing sometimes. The rest of the trial was quick. Pete testified. Danny testified. The doctor who'd treated Clara's wound testified. The evidence piled up until there was no question of guilt. The jury deliberated for 40 minutes. Guilty on all counts. Mara was sentenced to 15 years. Would be eligible for parole in 10 if she behaved. But she'd lost. They'd won. As the sheriff led Mara out, she looked at Clara one last time. This isn't over. Yes, it is, Clara said quietly. You lost Mara. Your father lost. Hate lost. It's over. Mara's face crumpled. For just a moment, she wasn't a kidnapper or a monster. She was just a daughter who'd loved her father too much to see his flaws. I'm sorry, Clara added, for your pain, for your loss. I hope someday you find peace. Mara didn't answer. Just let herself be led away. Outside the courthouse, the crowd that had gathered broke into applause. Clara was shocked. These were the same people who'd whispered about her, who'd questioned her, who'd sent threatening letters. Now they were clapping. The preacher stepped forward. "Mrs. Thorne, I want to apologize. On behalf of this community, we failed you, failed your family. Let fear and gossip nearly destroy something beautiful. And we're sorry." Others echoed him. Mrs. Henderson stepped forward last. "I was wrong about you. Wrong to judge. Wrong to spread rumors. You're a good mother, a good woman, and those babies are lucky to have you." Clara didn't know what to say, so she just nodded. "Thank you." They rode home in the wagon, Jack driving, Mrs. Donnelly in back with the twins, Clara beside her husband, finally able to breathe. "It's really over," she said. "Yeah, it really is." "What do we do now?" Jack smiled. "We live, we love, we watch our children grow up. We build a life so good that all of this becomes just a story we tell them someday, about how we fought for each other, how we survived." I like that story. Me too. That night, Clara stood in the nursery doorway watching Jack rock both twins to sleep, singing them the lullaby she'd taught him, the one her grandmother had taught her, the one that would be passed down to Elsie and Emmett someday when they had children of their own. "You're thinking too loud," Jack said softly. "I'm thinking about how lucky I am, how close I came to never knowing this feeling, this family, this love. The feeling's mutual." Clara moved to him, kissed his forehead, kissed each baby's head. "Do you think Mary would be proud of us, of what we've built?" Jack looked up at her. "I think Mary would be grateful. Grateful her children are loved. Grateful you saved me from drowning in grief. Grateful this family kept growing instead of dying. I miss her sometimes, even though I never knew her. Miss the woman who made you who you are, who gave me these perfect babies. She'd like you. Would have been friends with you, I think. You're both stubborn as hell, both strong, both fierce protectors of the people you love." Clara smiled. "I'll take that as a compliment. It was meant as one." They put the twins to bed together, tucked them in with the quilt Mary had started and Clara had finished. A symbol of two women who'd never met, but had both loved the same children. Later in their bedroom, Jack pulled Clara close. "I have something for you." "What?" He handed her a small wooden box. Inside was a locket. Gold, delicate, beautiful. "Jack, this is Mary's. She wore it every day." Kept a picture of her mother inside. He took it out, showed Clara. "But I thought maybe you could put a picture of Anna in there, carry her with you, so she's always close." Clara's vision blurred. "You'd let me wear Mary's locket." "It's not Mary's anymore. It's yours. Everything in this house is yours. This ranch is yours. These children are yours. I'm yours." He fastened it around her neck. "And I want you to remember both the women who made you who you are. Your mother, Anna, even Mary in a way. All of them live in you. All of them made you strong enough to survive this." Clara touched the locket, felt the weight of it, the history, the love. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything, for seeing me when I was invisible, for loving me when I was broken, for giving me a family when I thought I'd lost my chance. Thank you for saving us, for being brave enough to sing to babies that weren't yours, for staying when you could have run, for fighting when you could have surrendered." He kissed her, slow and deep and full of promise. "I love you, Clara Thorne. More than I thought I could love anyone, and I'm going to spend the rest of my life proving it." "You already have." They made love that night like people do when they've survived war. Grateful, reverent, celebrating the simple miracle of being alive and together and whole, and later wrapped in each other's arms, Clara felt something she hadn't felt since Anna died. Peace, real peace, the kind that comes from knowing you're exactly where you belong, with exactly who you're meant to be with, doing exactly what you were made to do. The next morning, Clara woke to find Jack already gone. She pulled on her robe, checked on the twins. They were still sleeping peaceful and perfect. Downstairs, she found Mrs. Donnelly making breakfast. "Where's Jack?" "Out in the new barn. Said he had a surprise for you." Clara walked out into the morning. The sun was just rising, painting everything gold. The new barn stood strong against the sky, and in front of it Jack waited. "What's the surprise?" He grinned, led her inside, to a stall she'd never seen prepared before. And in it, lying in fresh straw, was a mare with a newborn foal. "She foaled last night. Pete and I delivered her. Wanted you to be the first to see." The foal was perfect, all legs and curiosity. It stumbled over to Clara, sniffed her hand. "What's her name?" Clara asked. "That's up to you. She's yours." "Mine. Every rancher's wife needs a horse, and I figured you should have one that's as new to this life as you are. One you can raise from the beginning. Watch her grow. Teach her trust." He paused. "Name her whatever feels right." Clara looked at the foal, at her soft eyes and gentle nature, at the way she leaned into Clara's touch like she'd been waiting for it. "Hope," Clara said. "Her name is Hope." Jack smiled. "Perfect." They stood together watching the foal explore her stall, watching new life begin in a place that had almost been destroyed by fire and hate. "This is what we do now," Clara said. "We build, we grow, we create life instead of mourning death." "Yeah, that's exactly what we do." Over the next months, life settled into a beautiful rhythm. The twins grew, started crawling, started babbling. Elsie said her first word on a Tuesday morning. "Mama," clear as a bell, looking right at Clara. Clara cried for an hour. Emmett's first word came 2 weeks later. "Dada." Jack carried him around the ranch for the entire day, grinning like a fool. Hope the foal grew strong, followed Clara everywhere. Danny started training her. Said she had the makings of the best horse on the ranch. The wild stallion, the one Clara had risked her life for, started letting other people near him, started trusting, started healing. Like all of them, really. Sarah Burton became a friend, brought food every Sunday, played with the twins, never mentioned her father or sister, just tried to build something good from the ashes of her family's mistakes. The ranch prospered. New hands signed on. The cattle multiplied. Jack expanded the operation, started buying up neighboring land, building something that would last for generations. And every night, Clara and Jack put the twins to bed together, read them stories, sang them lullabies, told them about Mary, about Anna, about all the people who'd loved them before they even existed. One evening, exactly 1 year after the kidnapping, Jack found Clara in the nursery. The twins were asleep. She was rocking in the chair, humming. "Penny for your thoughts." She smiled. "I was thinking about something you said once, about how we can't promise our children they'll never hurt, but we can promise they'll never face that hurt alone." I remember. I think you were right, about everything, about love being enough, about broken things healing, about... She stopped, looked at him. "I'm pregnant, Jack." His face went white, then red, then broke into the biggest smile she'd ever seen. But the doctor said..." "The doctor was wrong, or maybe it's a miracle, I don't know, but I'm pregnant, about 2 months along." Jack crossed to her, pulled her up, held her like she was made of glass and starlight. "Clara? Oh God, Clara. Are you happy?" "Happy I'm..." He laughed, cried. "I'm terrified and thrilled, and I can't believe we get to do this again." "Me neither." They stood there swaying in the nursery while their children slept. Two people who'd been broken beyond repair, who'd found each other in the darkness, who'd built a family from grief and hope and stubborn love. "I want to name her Anna," Clara said. "If it's a girl, after my daughter, so part of her lives on. And if it's a boy, Thomas, after your first son, the one Mary lost before the twins, the one you don't talk about but I know about because Mrs. Donnelly told me." so he's remembered too. Jack's throat worked. You want to name our son after the baby we lost before? I want to honor all the people who made us who we are, all the love that came before, all the loss that taught us to appreciate what we have. Then that's what we'll do. The baby was born on a spring morning, fast labor, easy delivery, a healthy boy who came into the world screaming his lungs out. They named him Thomas, called him Tommy. Elsie and Emmett were fascinated by their baby brother, wanted to hold him constantly, brought him toys, sang to him in their toddler voices. And Clara, holding her third child, finally let go of the guilt she'd carried for so long. Anna would always be part of her, would always live in the locket around her neck, but she could love again, could mother again, could trust herself again. The christening happened on a Sunday. The whole town came. The church was packed, and when the preacher asked who would raise this child in faith and love, Clara and Jack answered together, "We will." Afterward, there was a party at the ranch. Food and music and dancing. The twins ran wild with other children. Tommy slept through most of it in his basket. And as the sun set, Clara found herself standing on the hill above the house, looking out at everything they'd built, everything they'd survived. Jack came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist. "What are you thinking about? About how far we've come, about how close we came to never having this life, this love, this family. But we do have it, and we're going to keep having it, for the rest of our lives." Clara turned in his arms, looked up at the man who'd saved her as much as she'd saved him. "Jack Thorne, do you remember what you said to me that first day when I asked what the job was?" "Yeah, clean the barn, feed the horses, keep to yourself." "And I was hired just to clean the barn, just to be invisible, just to exist on the edges of your life. But you became the center of it instead. We both did, for each other." Jack kissed her forehead, her nose, her lips. "She was hired just to clean the barn," he said, echoing the words that would become family legend. "But she cleaned more than that. She cleaned the hurt from this home, the grief from my heart, the fear from our future. And in doing that, she became everything." Clara smiled. "Not everything, just what you needed. Same thing." They stood on the hill as darkness fell. Below them, the ranch glowed with lamplight and laughter. Their children played. Their friends celebrated. Their life spread out in all directions. And Clara thought about the woman she'd been when she first walked up that dusty road. Broken, empty, ready to disappear. She'd been hired just to clean the barn. But somewhere between the first lullaby and the last threat, between the grief and the grace, between the fear and the fighting, she'd become something more. She'd become a mother, a wife, a fighter, a survivor. She'd become home. Not just for herself, but for 3 children who needed her, for a man who'd lost his way, for a ranch that had forgotten what love sounded like. And as Jack held her under the Wyoming stars, as their children's laughter drifted up from below, as the wild stallion she'd saved grazed peacefully in the pasture, Clara understood something fundamental. Love wasn't always neat, wasn't always easy, wasn't always what you expected, but it was always worth fighting for. And out here, under the endless sky, in this place built by broken people who refused to stay broken, one truth remained. The heart always finds its way home. Always.